Oh, right, hang on. Oh, and we are live. Oh, good, good, good. You missed it just a moment ago. Welcome to Speaker Insight. We help speakers, authors, and coaches to build a business, a portfolio business on your terms. And every now and then at the moment, we are going live because we've got somebody fabulous with us. But just so that you know you are in the right place, I actually just want to play you this because I can. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, no, it's not working for me. Here we go. Right, here we go. I want to do this one. Right, because Viv Guy would just absolutely appreciate this. So today I am talking to the wonderful Viv Guy about how to market without social media, and we'll let her introduce herself as we go. But for those of you who are actually joining us live, yes, we are live today. What I really want to say is this, let us know what you're up to. Kelly sends her regards. It has just been Easter and she is in preparation for major things that are happening in the Tyler household. So that can be updated in a little while. But it seemed a shame because one of the things that we hear from speakers, authors, and coaches more than anything is, do I have to be on social media? That's the thing I can't make time for. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. So we thought we'd give you a different perspective. Now, I've known Viv for a little while, and we've had some very interesting conversations around all sorts of things, but particularly around this area. So we'll see how it actually works. Joy is in Brittany at the moment. You just missed your dog. Joy, your dog was sitting just on the couch a second ago and just actually playing in this way. For those of you who are watching on the Speaker Insight page, I am actually just going to say, come and join us inside the Connection Hub, which is where we've got, 12,500 speakers, authors, and coaches who really do want to grow their business through being in peer connection with all the other speakers, authors, and coaches. There's loads of opportunities in there, lots and lots of things for you to do. So tell us the buzz in your business. Even if this is a hashtag replay for you, do a hashtag replay because we like to know all of these things. And Viv and I Viv, you are going to be taggable in here and you are going to pay attention for a little bit, aren't you?
I'll say yes. I might bob in one. Yeah, I'll bob in just for you. Yes.
I completely love that. So Viv has actually been in the Connection Hub for a little while. Kelly, I know, is kind of watching live as well, but Viv has been around and she watches every now and then. But the whole point here is that I want to present you with a different perspective on how you might grow your speaker, author, coach business in the same way that Viv has done, or at least helps her clients do, because that complaint around social media, it really does my head in, is one that I just wanted to present a different perspective on. So before you get stuck in, because that we can, because we all want to really create those sustainable, organic kind of marketing in our businesses, and if it doesn't actually have to be salesy or on social media, that might be a boon to some. So who are you, Viv, and what's your background? Because let's have them know who you be before you actually throw theories at them.
Absolutely. Well, hello, I am Viv Guy. I am a business and marketing coach, mentor, strategist, bit of everything in there. And I'm a Yorkshire lass originally, now living in Lancashire, War of the Roses, if you know what that means, if you're in the UK. And I started my first ever business, first ever proper business, not kind of working for my parents and things, at the age of 22. And I grew a 7-figure business without ever using social media. Didn't exist at the time of starting that business, but I didn't get on the social media bandwagon. And actually, it didn't have a website till about the last couple of years before I stepped aside. So yeah, all on connections. Perfect for this. So I'm very passionate about marketing without social media, and not just because of that, because when I decided I was bored of that business, typical entrepreneur, it was all ticking away, stepped away, and decided when I had my family, I was going to do personal brand photography. So started doing personal brand photography, grew that into a very successful business, but got on the whole, it's an online business, so I need to be on social media, followed all the noise, which it was a lot of noise, especially when you've got, tiny new babies, kind of that you must be on social media. You must check it all the time. You must post your entire life. And I found it so invasive and intrusive, which we can get onto in a minute. But yeah, so because of that and the work I was doing in personal brand photography, which is all around helping be visible, marketing, it all kind of came together, and I grew this brand photography business very quickly. People were like, how did you do it? Blah, 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 blah. And at that time I was using social media, a lot of Instagram because it's very visual. But I didn't like it. I was always very resistant to it. It was like blood out of a stone every Monday, which was my content kind of batching day. Oh, I've got a bit of
don't worry.
There. It's okay. I just heard a noise. I was like, who's talking? It's me. So yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. Keep going.
Yeah, rural Lancashire, rubbish internet sometimes. So yeah, I just really resisted it and really did not like getting to the days I was doing batch content. And then I just was like, oh my God, it's just tiresome. It's invading on my personal time, because I felt like when I was with my family, I started to be posting stories like that. And I was like, you kind of in the moment, trying to be in the moment, but going, oh, this would make a really great story, or this would make this. And I just found, even with the boundaries, and I was very disciplined with boundaries, it was still always there in the forefront of mind, like this need for social media content and sharing everything. And, I got to the point of going, I'm very strategic, hence the strategist. And I was I was like, hang on, like, let's just have a look at how much time and energy, and if you know the Pareto principle, I was like, this is, I won't swear on here, but squiffed, back to front, upside down. This is not right. The amount of time and effort going into creating content that is producing actually not that many paying clients from this marketing avenue versus, who do I know and network with outside of social media? It was upside down and back to front. Pareto principle says 80% of your revenue, clients or whatever, should be coming from, say, 20% of our marketing efforts. With social media, you will see this. It's upside down to back to front. You're going to see about 20% return for 80% of the effort. And it's a hamster wheel. It's like that content creation, social media hamster wheel. And that's what for me, I wanted to get off. So that's who I am, and a little bit about how I got to where I am today.
Yeah, no, and my apologies for the noises. It caught up with us, and that's on here. So every now and then I'm just going to look down and actually kind of see what's going on in the land of Facebook. In terms of the buzz in your business, and I'll come back to this. Rishi's just actually saying the buzz in his business at the moment is that he's making a content plan based on his framework, the selling to serve pathway. So there's a lot of really good stuff that's actually kind of going on out there. And as you say, one of the things that Kelly and I absolutely kind of stand for is that social media shouldn't be the time suck that it is. And we have very specific kind of ways that we help people grow their business in this way. And I still know, exactly like yourself, that there are several people who, if they didn't actually have, have a need to go on here, they would really love that. So I'd love to talk a little bit more to you around, how you actually see it, because you really talk about a world in which sort of marketing without social media works. And can you tell us about that, but also give us some examples that might apply, sort of those people who have kind of done real success with replicating what you say?
Yeah, sure. So what was the first part of the question?
So the first part of the question is absolutely about, sort of like, tell us just a little bit more about it. What's the strategy behind it? Like, let's pick on your brain.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I've had 2 weeks off, so my brain is slow to catch up after a 2-week holiday.
That's all right. Don't worry. I'll make it nice and easy for you.
Absolutely. So obviously, as I said, for me, it's around getting the maximum return on investment. I only work 20 hours a week. That's all I work. And I used to, first business, did it all back to front and wrong, and did like 60 to 80 hour weeks, burn out, very unhealthy way. So I was like, no, 20-hour weeks. So I was like, it's got to work, and it's got to provide results, and we're in business, not for likes and comments and all of this kind of stuff. We are here to make money.
For sure.
Yes, to serve people, all of that nice stuff. But if you're a business and it's not a hobby, you're there to make money. And so we want to look at the best way to do that, and what do we know? Like, connections equal clients, and real connections. So if you're working in client-facing roles, then that's what you need. And conversations also equal clients. Connections, conversations equal clients, not numbers of likes. And comments.
Sure.
Real, actual having a conversation with people.
Yeah.
So very much that. That belief around how can we make this more efficient. There's a lot of data out there. Which is. Social media, the return on investment is around 28%, which is around like 28 cents if you're in the States, versus $44, so a 4,400% return on email. So if you kind of do that, do you want a 20% ROI or do you want a 4,400%? Obvious which one you're going to say yes to. Yet we're spending so much time on social media. So I was seeing so many clients saying, I'm doing social media all the time. I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I'm still not getting consistent clients. It's not working for me. And what are you doing? I'm hanging out in groups and trying to have conversations with people and get clients that way. Exhausting. Often feels icky for a lot of people. Demoralizing when you're creating so much content that is being seen by nobody. And I've had people who've said, my group said they just didn't see post after post after post that I put out about an event or a workshop or a training, for some of my clients. And again, my clients were like, this is just horrible that no one's seeing my stuff. So, the fight against the algorithm, it's a pay to play machine. Fundamentally, if you want to grow your audience on social media, you've got to pay for it. That is the way. If you want to grow it organically, do not rely on social media. Let's look outside of social media. So I say flip it on its head. So bring people into your world, get them into your email list. If you love having a Facebook group, like here, absolutely bring them into your email list and then say, hey, we've got this really great space. Come and join us in there. But they still see your emails. And then you've caught them here, which is the big ROI. But you can also nurture them then in your Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want to signpost them. If you do want social media, if you don't want social media, or you've already caught them here, you can have your YouTube, blogs, podcasts, whatever it is that you want. So just think about which way, but bring them into that email list first and foremost, and then decide where you want to sort of signpost them to nurture them beyond email, if that's something that you feel that you enjoy, that sense of ease.
For sure. So would you say, so you're suggesting that we base most of the marketing that you do around your email list? You're really a big proponent of growing your email?
Absolutely. Email list, because again, another stat for you, 22 times more people will read an email versus the same content you put out in a social media post. 22 times more people. Yeah. Wow. Again, I like data. I base it on data. Let's go with that. And bear in mind, they are global averages. So if you're a smaller business, not a multi-million, billion-pound company, these stats are going to be even better for you, because the smaller you are, the stats. And then people say, yeah, but there's not that many people on email. Email's dying out. Well, that's twaddle, because there's 5.4 million people on a billion social media users, but they've all got an email, because you have to email to set up a social media account. And there's some really interesting stats around, people are like, yeah, but people go to social media first. In the morning, they wake up and they look at social media, and you're like, but they don't. Actually, the data shows that people check email first and foremost, still above social media. So that's sort of the data. In terms of then, clients and what they've done, I've had clients who've gone, I've got to use social media. And I've said, but why? And they think that they have to, because some guru said that's the way to do it. Start a Facebook group, Instagram, whatever. And so they feel stuck, but they're either being totally inconsistent with content. We know that consistency, whatever you do, you got to kind of, stick at it and do whatever you're going to do. Or they're being consistent, but they're just not getting the results because there's nobody reading it. It's not to the right people. It's the algorithm battle. So you have to keep producing more and more and more content, because that's what social media wants. That's why they play the algorithm game with us. Because 10 years ago, you could put a post out and 80% of your audience would see it, and then they've reduced it year on year on year, because free content keeps people on the platform so that they see the paid ads. That is it. They're not, they're not benevolent kind of not-for-profits, these businesses.
No, and so from from a strategic perspective, you know, sort of like, so if people on here have been putting their time and effort into social media, for example, because, you know, consistency is just consistency. So talk to us a little bit about emails. You know, what's your suggestion around that? Because I still need to be consistent with my emails, for example. So what's the strategy if I wanted to go on a social media diet and switch over, for example? What would be the strategy that someone might use to do that?
All right. Well, first and foremost, I would say it's the social media escape plan. The first thing you need to do is figure out how many of your clients, how much of your revenue is coming from social media directly. Okay. Because a lot of people think it's social media, but then they go, oh, actually, no, they got referred to me by such and such. And they may have followed me for a while on social media, but actually that's not how they, you know, initially kind of found me.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, look at that. Look at your data. You know, if you say, right, actually, all of my work, all of my clients come from social media, but I hate it, so I want to escape it, then obviously we need to do an escape plan. It's not like if you say I've got 5% of my business coming from social media and I'd go, can you afford to ditch that 5%? Then just go cold turkey. But if it's 100% or 80% or whatever, a significant amount of proportion of your business, then we need to look at how, you know, how do you want where do you want those clients to come from in the future? Is it email? You know, you say actually it's not email, it's my YouTube channel or whatever, but we really always want to be driving people from podcast, blogs, wherever to email. Okay. Yeah. Because you own that. It's not going away. It's an actual asset for your business. Social media is not an asset. It doesn't matter how many thousands, billions of people you've got. So look at how much of your business comes from social media. And then think about, okay, where are these people already hanging out? Where are they beyond social media? Because we don't all just live on social media, contrary to what you think.
For sure.
We go and use other stuff. We shop at other places, and we may shop online. We may go into actually, you know, health food shops or the gym or wherever. Where else are they going? Where else are they getting support? You know, so if it's for business entrepreneurs, where else are they going for support? And you might say, well, look, online. Those people sure as heck will have an email list. I'm guaranteeing you, you know, as well. So where else are they going? Who else could you connect with? Okay, how else could you connect with your people? And let's start looking at that way again. So how could I bring those people into my world a different way that's not reliant on social media and this constant need for content creation? You know, and it is, when you say, I want to have a podcast, I want to have a YouTube channel, I want to write, you know, again, lean into, you know, your marketing archetype. And I have got a marketing archetype quiz. I'm just updating it, so it's off at the moment. But if you want that, just tag me and I'll send you the link for that. Nice. But, you know, understand your character strengths, your personality strengths, because they will come over in your marketing, you know, and utilize that. So if you're a writer, if you love kind of pen to paper, if you are maybe more of an introvert and you're like, oh, freaking hell, I just hate going out. And, you know, this is speakers and everything in here, so possibly not applying to you, but you might say,
the authors are definitely, you know,
definitely writers, you know, so you might go, actually blogging is the thing I absolutely love. I love creating really high value, really, you know, content that really serves people. You might be like, I'm a podcaster. I just love having conversations. You know, for me, I love connecting with people. So I love interview-based podcasts. So that works there well. Do what energizes you. And this is what you'll be finding. If you are not loving social media, it's probably because it is zapping your energy, could be making you feel burnt out, even if you're doing it in, you know, not too many hours a week. And, you know, maybe outsourcing. If you're still feeling it's not for you, it's not aligned. So figure out what your marketing archetype is. And, you know, there are multiple ways to market without social media that will align to the right archetype, your archetype.
So when you're talking about an archetype, are you talking about not the audience themselves, but a person, you know, sort of like in terms of figuring out who you are and what you really enjoy, right?
Yes. So there are three types of archetypes. So there is the salesperson, which is me, obviously. There is the maven. So these are people who will be your natural kind of teachers, who really like thought leaders. And then you have the connectors. So the people that, you know, you say, do you know anyone who, and they like get out the black book and they have like, you know, a black book, you know, that is just full of people and they know everybody and they connect really well with people. And it's about finding what your archetype is and then understanding and being able to play to your strengths using marketing tactics and strategies that work for you. You know, so really, really kind of look into that. And again, I'll send you the quiz. It's like a 60-second quiz once I'm just moving the email platforms. That's what the issue is. So I'll get that updated, and that's really useful. It gives you lots of tips on how to use that as well. But yeah, in terms of, do you want me to talk about some of the different strategies that you can use?
I really do, because you know, because I know you've got loads, and I know that that's the gold that's in here. So what can all of our speakers, authors, and coaches do?
Okay, so your people are everywhere. So people will be like, they're only on social media. Well, as I said, they're not. They are everywhere. Okay, so understanding where they are and then the way you're going to reach them, obviously by tapping into your own archetype, is going to be one of the things you do. So there are squillions of ways like that you can market. So things that work, you know, summits, bundles. If you don't know what a bundle is, it's basically where you put something in, like a workshop or a free resource or something, and then it goes out and you share with email lists and things. So you get to reach a lot of new people. You know, we've talked about blogging, podcasting, YouTube. You know, if you really want to keep going with social media, you can do that. Email, obviously, really important. What else have I missed? Events, networking, seminars and summits, you know, so go as a guest. You know, you can actually connect with people that way. Go as a speaker, obviously another way to connect. There are lots. I have my 21 favorite ways, which I think I've given you the link for, haven't I?
You have. I'll make sure everyone gets that.
Which is like my 21 sort of top ways that I recommend, and that fits something for every archetype. I suppose if I was really organized, I could put those into archetype categories as well, but I haven't done that yet.
I had that thought when I was reading through them.
That'd be quite cool. Yeah. We got to do the archetype quiz, then it'll tell you which ones. And you know, there are variations as well, because you will have a primary and secondary archetype. So you sort of pick a mix, really.
For sure.
Well, so yeah, so there are lots of different ways. So the big thing is, though, if you want a little activity to do to help you, grab a sheet of paper, okay, write who your ideal client is in the middle of the sheet of paper. So let's say it's authors, okay, and then what I want you to do is I want you to brainstorm all the different places coming out from that people are already accessing, okay. So let's say, where are they shopping, okay, what blogs are they reading? What magazines are they reading? What podcasts do they listen to? You know, what memberships are they part of, if they're parts of memberships? You know, who do they follow? You know, in the speaking world, in the writing world, you know, who are the people that they're following? So just literally brain dump all of those kind of ideas, you know, as many as you can. You know, think about, so for me, working with coaches, who are they working with? Well, let's say designers. Most people are going to want to get their branding done. So I could say, right, I can collaborate with designers. Okay, that is a huge list. Designers, that's the category. Now I can go and Google. I don't have to use social media. Use social media as a research platform if I want to, but if I want to be off it totally, I can use Google. Who are all of the designers? And I can just put in designers working with coaches, you know, and bring me up a massive list. There I have a massive list database now that I can start to put together of people I can collaborate with and partner with. So we can do swapsies with email lists. Hey, I've got this freebie that would really serve your audience. You've got something that will serve mine. Let's swap on podcasts, let's speak. So we're suddenly getting ourselves in front of more people by doing that. So whereas right now, if you're hanging out in Facebook groups and you're trying to hustle for a client, you kind of go, oh, they mentioned they might be interested in a coach or this or that. I'm going to kind of go and stalk them for a while. And then you're really disappointed when somebody says, you know, oh, I've signed up with some such and such coach. And you're like, I thought they were mine. You know, and it's hard and it's time consuming. When you can go in and partner with someone, collaborate with somebody, you already have a degree of trust imparted to you from that person. They're that leader of that community. You know, they are that people, that their followers, their community already respect, known as a hub, and like this is. And so by doing that, there's already that trust imparted. So if they say, hey, my mate, you know, Viv has got this great thing, more people are going to be like, oh, that's interesting because she said that's good. You know how it is where someone will say, did you see that thing on Netflix? Or have you seen like Bridgerton? And, you know, if my mom said that, I'd be like, no way am I watching that. But, you know, if my best mate says, have you seen Bridgerton? I'm like, it must be good. So there's people you'll trust and people you won't trust. And when it's you kind of go to a hub, the community there will already be trusting that person, or they wouldn't stay in that community.
For
And so
sure.
by connecting with that person, so start connecting at this level versus like this level right down here, that's real
Yeah.
hustle level, you're going to hustle a lot less and you're going to access a lot more people. I should have had a picture really, but they're the people, there's that one person, you're going to make one connection to access lots of people. And that's
Which is great.
fundamentally what you want to do.
Yeah. And so in terms of the content then, because once you've got, whether you and the collaboration strategy is such a good one, it's that whole kind of how can I be effective and efficient with my time by connecting through to somebody else. But what's interesting is, that whole kind of content question is still the one that's going to come up. So whether I'm doing content on social or whether I'm doing content in email. So for example, how many times, do you send out an email per week, for example, or what do you suggest to your clients? Because surely I might have the same headache around, oh my God, well, what do I send out to my list?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say email twice a week. Okay. If you do once a week or once a month now, let's try and get you up to twice a week. So I send Tuesday, Friday emails. And so that's what we're going to send. Obviously, there's a whole strategy around the types of emails and what's going to be in those. But if you think about the amount of time right now that if you spent on 2 emails, and you might repurpose that and use it on your social media and things, but actually remember 22 times more people are going to read that email than they are that social post.
Yeah.
And then what we need to remember is with the iOS changes last year, that we need to be focused now on click-throughs. So where are you getting them to click to? Is it a blog? Is it a podcast? Is it your collaborator, your friends, freebie, but that way you can kind of really see how healthy your list is, who's responding, what kind of stuff they're responding to, because that will help you kind of really form that future content. Is it, if you've got a podcast, and I don't use my YouTube channel to grow my audience, but I will record a video up there because I don't want to do it on social media, on Facebook and things, and I can use that clickable link then saying, hey, watch this 7-minute video on the top 5 reasons that, whatever it might be, because that's what we want to do. And again, click through, and we can still nurture then. So it's not just written content. We can have that video content that you get through social media, so they get to see your face, look at the lights of your eyes. It's all really useful.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that. So essentially, you're kind of saying, you don't have to use social media in terms of the content machine that it is, but actually as a repository or as a storage unit, YouTube, for example, for some of the things that you do with this combination of emailing that has the click place to the storage places that you actually like to show up on is essentially the strategy. So that's one kind of set of it. In terms of the referral kind of thing, you talked about connections. Can you talk to us a little bit more around kind of referrals, or what you might, as a speaker, author, coach, what they might put in place around that?
Yeah, so in terms of referrals, a lot of people, when I ask, prospective clients, when I'm on a call with them, and I say, so, how are you getting your clients? I get referrals, but it's very passive referrals. So in terms of word of mouth, that someone said, great, but actually there's nothing proactive about it. So let's talk about like being proactive with those referrals. So what we can do is, there's the option of going out to our existing network saying, hey, I've got this thing, will you share it? And make sure you do the work for people. So I always call it the 2-step approach. So first and foremost, ask people if they're up for doing that. Hey, are you up for this? I've got this thing I want to share. Let me know if you'd be up for sharing it. Don't just presume and assume, because that really pisses people off. And then if they say yes, send them stuff. Don't make them have to think, about what am I going to write. Give them some copy, create some copy. Here's a graphic for you if it's going out on social, whatever. And so that's a great way to actually say to people, and be specific about this is what I want. One of my clients, she was looking for some referrals because all of her business has been word of mouth. She was like that. Oh, I actually think I need to do something and be more proactive with my marketing, but I want to fill these 2 spaces. So she's gone out to her existing network of past clients, but created some beautiful graphics because she's a designer. And they've got it for stories and Instagrams, and then they can put in their own kind of stuff and what it meant to them. So really kind of being proactive, not just kind of waiting to see who's going to possibly refer you, but actually bringing it to the forefront of minds and saying, who do you know? One person, and I £5,000 or £6,000. Well, actually, that's a lot of money if I get 2 referrals. But people might not be thinking about you at that moment in time until you actually take action. And then the other thing with referrals is connecting with hubs. And you can say to people, hey, will you share my course? And it doesn't have to be on an affiliate basis. You might say, hey, I'm doing a workshop. Do you mind sharing and shout out that this is happening? Who do you know? If you build those relationships enough with people, you can then reach out and look for those referrals. One of my clients is an artist, and she does pet portraits, and she's connected with breeders. Has been a great one for her. So they can obviously refer her to all of their clients. Which fantastic. So again, asking, sharing, providing that information and being really proactive about it, not just kind of waiting for those referrals to roll in, but actually going out and saying, how can I make referrals actually happen? How can I initiate and instigate that action?
Yeah, I really like that. And there's something to be said for, you were saying that, the 20-hour a week limit for you inside your business is what's actually helped you kind of streamline it. So I'm just going to throw this one at you because I can. So in that time, how much of your time are you spending kind of crafting your emails, doing the relationship building, and then also obviously kind of delivering within there? Are you spending any time on social media? And if so, what are you doing it?
No, I don't do social media really, unless somebody like you very kindly says, will you go in if we tag you? I will force myself to go in. But no, I don't go on social media at all, really now.
Fabulous.
So I will spend a couple of hours a week crafting emails. Nice. It depends how in flow I am. It can be blood out of a stone. You know what it's like. Right over in here, you get flow and you get out of flow. So, but it's still got to be done. It's a commitment. So flow. So a couple of hours a week on that. I have a podcast. So, so I will record that. So if I'm doing a solo episode, it's quicker than a guest episode. But around an hour to 90 minutes a week on that.
Yeah, nice.
I've got a VA now that is back on board, thank goodness, because my mum went leave, didn't she? Doing a lot of that for me. But if I did that myself I've done that for myself for like 3 months, and that was taking me around 5 hours a week. So let's say we're up to about 6 or 7 hours a week on that, and it is a big thing. A podcast is a big commitment. You don't need to do that. Like I say, you can just knock out some YouTube videos and things. But I like for me, the podcast isn't just about the podcast. It's about the connections as well. And, the credibility and things that come with that as well. And I love that I'm sharing, across the globe, Australia, California. It's great when someone emailed me the other day going, just meet you today. I'm in California. I love listening to it.
Fabulous.
It's great in that sense. So so around sort of 7 or 8 hours, about let's say 7 hours at most on actual content creation. And then in terms of how much time making connections, you choose. I would always say I spend about an hour a week, where I'll I have a good network now. And it's building that, and it is a snowball effect, and it doesn't take long if you are consistent. Again, have a conversation, and I'll just say to people, I'm that cheeky one, and this is how I built my first business. I go, who else do you know? Who else could I speak to? Who else does this? And they, people think nobody will reply. People always reply to me. Sure, you want to speak to such and such and such and such and such and such. Great, you've just added to my database. Now I can go and contact those people. So it takes out that having to search, like wondering where are these people. Just ask, and you'll suddenly get more people. So actually, then you're not in the research phase. You're in the just reach out phase. But if you were going to do the research and reach out, so starting from scratch, don't know who to speak to, I would say, give yourself 2 hours a week, just researching, building your database, and then you've got time then, say, if you want to put another hour in that, it's what you've got available to you. Just doing some very personal reach out emails, make sure they are personal. If you try Copy form emails and reach outs, they're gonna just bomb. So
Yes.
make sure, when I started, before I launched my podcast, I think I spent 4 hours and I wrote 10 emails. That was a lot of time to write 10 very emails, 100% acceptance rate for the podcast from really big people, and so you're better off taking that time. If you think how many, time you spend on social or social posts you'd create, but what's that reach from, say, 10 people who've got audiences of 6,000 plus? That's a lot more reach, So really, again, do the math. It's all math, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all maths. It's all maths. And really, truly, I hope that a lot of people watching are really kind of just going to think about, how much time do I spend on social media strategically? How much time do I spend non-strategically down that rabbit hole, kind of? Because I think a lot of us set out to go onto social media strategically. Certainly that's why Kelly and I set up the Connection Hub. I know that it's a destination space for a lot of people because they know we do opportunity. So #opportunity, sort of where you can find podcast guests and that kind of thing, the call outs, the things that you actually need. But it is one of those places that you can, if you're not careful, actually do this. So I'm loving this whole idea of flipping it on its head and going, okay, what needs to be done first around the emails that I'm actually doing and around the research and the reach out that I'm doing, and then strategically going on to social media. And if you can stay away from it, kind of like going down the rabbit holes, they actually work. I also really love the perspectives around, it's not that you're not showing up in places or having people go to where you actually are, but it's really about kind of deciding, actually, I'm a podcaster, or I'm a blogger, or I'm a YouTuber that actively kind of drives people through to where that is in that click-through way that you're talking about. So I love the strategy that you've presented, around how might I use my time really effectively, because that's kind of what we're talking about when we say how to market without social media for a goodly part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing is, I would say, a lot of people will say, well, in 5 years, or when I've made 100K, or whatever that figure is that you've got in your mind, I will reduce the amount of time I'm spending. But don't. I want you to think about now, successful, successful, financially successful, whatever that is for you, the future you that only works 10 hours a week, 15, whatever it is that you dream of. And I want you to do that now. I want you to look and out that week now and say, okay, I've only got 20 hours, which is what I did. How many client hours am I going to do in there? Okay. And again, if you work in 20 hours, don't say 18 hours or 16 hours, because you've got to leave time for marketing and content and so on. So work out how much you need to make, and then work out what time you are going to commit to your marketing and lead generation and sales, because all great and good and well bringing people into your funnel, into your email list, but then what do you do with them? Are you driving them to calls, to conversations, to sell by chats? You've got to make the time to have that as well in there. And a lot of people forget that. They'll do that top bit and then they're like, oh, because they don't invite people to calls because they haven't got time for calls, or conversations or chats, but conversations. Remember, conversations equal conversions.
Yeah.
So absolutely make sure you kind of plan out that time and price your services accordingly. You are a business,
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that people forget more than anything is my capacity, but also the pricing of all the stuff that goes behind it in terms of the delivery of it. So, we love you because you are a proponent of strategic efforts, which we love, structure, and indeed connection. So, who better to kind of just present a slightly different picture, or at least in slightly different words from how Kelly and I kind of just bang on about this time and time again. So I really, really appreciate you coming on and just sharing some of the strategies that you've got, even on the dreaded social media, which is great. I have popped a link in earlier when you were speaking about the 21 ways. I popped a link in there for those of you that want to actually kind of connect with Viv in that way, or at least see what some of these 21 ways are that you could be doing this. I've also popped your podcast in there because I think it's really great. It's a great listen, and you've got some fabulous guests even in the back catalogue, so they're well worth it. But if people wanted to be directly in connection with you, Joyce saying thank you, really great insights, which is really wonderful. If people wanted to be in connection with you, what's the best way? Because obviously it's not necessarily to find you on social.
It's not. Don't comment on anything on Facebook. You'll see it just says I'm not here on social media. Don't leave me. You can send me a private message. I can send you that link. It's a vivguy.coach or something like that. Let me find it.
Sure.
I'll find that. Bear with.
That's
look.
Great.
What is my link? It is http :/m.me/viv.guy.coach. And if you type that in, it will bring you my messenger chat up, so you can send me a message. I love a voice note. Love a voice note. So you're happy if you want to text it to me, but let me hear your voice. Or you can email me, hello@vivguy.com, and I will reply. I reply to everybody that emails within about 48 hours, unless I'm on holiday, in which case, as it was only 2 weeks. But connect with me, chat with me, let me know what's going on. I'd love to hear how, what you want to do with your business, with your marketing, how you want things to change. And the big thing is, I just want to say is, don't think you have to wait to leave social media. People are like, I have to wait. Do have an exit strategy if that's where your business is coming from. Mine took me around 9 months. And I just gradually sort of came away from it. And then there was the day and the line in the sand. If you don't love it, don't stick with things that you don't love, because this is your forever. If this is your business that you've got to do forever, you've got to do, a strategy forever. And if you don't love it, and if it's not really producing the return on investment for the amount of effort, then there are so many other options. And I think a lot of people I speak to just don't know what those options are or how to do them. And that is the only obstacle. And that is why so many people are on social media, because before you start business, you use social media socially. So you think, I'm familiar with it. I'll use that.
That's it. And so I think, you, like us, we really are kind of proponents of strategic, structured connection that actively does some good and makes the best use of your time and effort. That's exactly what we've just been doing, but certainly what we're also inviting all of our speakers, authors, and coaches to do. So, Viv, thank you so much. I'm going to end this broadcast right now and make sure that everybody knows just how to get in touch with everything. I'm going to play the little video out, because it's not that often we go live at the moment, because actually we've repurposed so many of the really juicy training sessions that we've got. So hopefully all of you out there are at times watching the #replay series, but all of these really great foundational how to put your business together things. So come and join us.